The Zorvani research vessel hovered silently over the ashen world of Zalcor. 12. Its crew staring in hushed horror at the holographic feed, looping the last known footage of the Varnock High Judge's fleet. Static flared, followed by one shriek, a blurred flash of light, then nothing. No survivors. No trace. Just a black crater where an armada had once hung in orbit. The logs ended with one line, distorted and barely audible. It's purring. Zalcor. 12 had been blacklisted for over a decade, marked as containment class red. It was a planet left to rot in the forgotten sectors of the galactic maps. The creature responsible, known only as the Korthax, had become legend. Some believed it to be a bioweapon lost during the Cataclysm Wars. Others claimed it was a living planetary defense system, one that had outlived its creators. The only certainty was this: no one returned. Drones disintegrated mid-air, recon units vanished without signal loss, and any attempt to scan the surface resulted in corrupted data and shorted instruments. The Korthax had no confirmed image. Its only confirmed trait was destruction. 23 missions had ended in catastrophic silence. Survivors? 0. All that remained were frantic transmissions filled with confusion, then screaming, then static. The Galactic Codex defined it as an echelon null threat, beyond classification, beyond protocol. In hushed chambers and elite war councils, they whispered about how the Korthax didn't just destroy fleets. It erased them from memory, leaving gaps even in backup server logs. It warped the very concept of presence. Scholars and strategists argued over its purpose. The Kshrani Order believed the Korthax was divine punishment, a celestial reaper that kept the balance between order and arrogance. The Mechari Coalition suspected a temporal anomaly, a creature bleeding through fractured dimensions. But no theory explained its behavior. The Korthax didn't conquer. It didn't expand. It simply annihilated whatever approached its territory, with the cold efficiency of a predator on instinct. Every attempt to lure it, trap it, or neutralize it ended in obliteration. In the last encounter, a Varnock war barge deployed a psychic command unit with class for mind barriers and antimatter-laced pulse cannons. The vessel disappeared mid-sentence. Only fragments of its black box remained, among them the now infamous phrase, "It's purring." Analysts looped the sound again and again. A deep, rhythmic vibration, almost feline. Some dismissed it as feedback interference. Others weren't so sure. The Galactic Council debated locking down the entire system. Borders were redrawn, navigation beacons redirected, and the solar charts digitally edited to make Zalcor 12 appear as a navigational hazard, not a planet. An entire world vanished from trade maps until Earth applied for an expeditionary license. The request was simple: one human xenobiologist, no military escort, minimal environmental disruption. The council laughed. The Zorvani delegate nearly short-circuited his translator node from choking on his drink. Earth's ambassador, a quiet woman with a dry sense of humor, simply replied, "We've met worse." The name submitted: Dr. Lena Hart. Lena wasn't known for battlefield experience or diplomatic negotiations. Her resume listed studies in trauma psychology, high-risk animal behavior, and emotional imprinting in apex predators. She spent 5 years rehabilitating rogue mining drones and once de-escalated a rampaging Narlock Alpha using nothing but a music box and some dried fruit. She didn't ask for weapons. She didn't demand a defense protocol. Instead, her checklist included a basic environmental scanner, 3 weeks of protein nutrient packs, and a tennis ball, scuffed and clearly chewed. The council approved her mission out of morbid curiosity. What could one unarmed human do that fleets couldn't? The Zorvani crew watched her drop pod vanish into the atmosphere like a silent prayer. Internal bets were made. Most gave her an hour. Some were kinder, maybe 3. Not one expected her to last a full day. Down on the planet's surface, the ash storm hissed against her suit. She moved slowly, steadily, her breath calm. The scanner beeped once. Massive heat signature, half a click ahead. Her heartbeat didn't spike. She placed the ball gently in her pocket and kept walking. The wind shifted. The air grew heavier, humming with latent energy. Dust swirled in tight cyclones. Then it appeared. It didn't emerge so much as unfold. Massive limbs, etched with plasma scars, eyes like collapsed stars, and a body shifting between matte and shimmer, as if light couldn't agree on where to land. Spines curved along its back, glowing with bioluminescent heat. Its claws dragged twin furrows in the rock as it stepped forward. It didn't roar. It exhaled, a slow, deep breath, and the ground quivered with the weight of its presence. Lena didn't move. She sat down, cross-legged, right in the open. She pulled the tennis ball from her pocket and gently rolled it forward. The Korthak stopped. Eyes narrowed. The ball came to a rest near one jagged foot. It lowered its head, sniffed once, then batted the ball with a lazy flick, sending it tumbling across the gravel. It stared at her, waiting. She smiled. "There we go," she said softly. Curious after all. The creature didn't charge, didn't growl. It stood still as she slowly reached into her pack and took out a ration. The wrapper crinkled. It twitched but didn't attack. She placed it on the ground between them and leaned back. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the Korthak stepped closer. One slow pace. Then another. It sniffed the ration, picked it up with claw precision, and swallowed it whole. It turned to her again, blinked, then impossibly rolled onto its side. The ground cracked under its weight. It shifted again onto its back, belly exposed, chest plates separating slightly with each breath. The Korthax was vulnerable. Lena didn't hesitate. She stood, stepped forward, and reached down. Her hand touched its stomach, warm, faintly pulsing. Then it purred, a deep, resonating vibration, low and thunderous. Not a threat, a signal. Above, the Zorvani monitoring drone caught every second. The crew aboard the orbiting ship went silent. One of them whispered, "She's petting it." Another muttered, "That thing killed an entire dreadnought." The footage was already en route to the council, to news streams, to war rooms and academic servers. Panic erupted. Governments demanded explanations. Security alerts flared across hundreds of systems. And in the center of it all, a lone human scratched the belly of the galaxy's most feared monster while tossing a tennis ball with the other hand. Earth's ambassador sent out a new message. She says it reminds her of a grumpy cat. You may want to update your classification. The galaxy didn't know what to do with the footage. There she was, Dr. Lena Hart, sitting calmly beside the most destructive organism known to exist, scratching its belly like it was a house pet. The Korthax, which had vaporized entire fleets, now made soft, resonant purring noises while nuzzling into the human's lap. Alien networks scrambled. Conspiracy theories flared. Analysts reviewed every millisecond of the footage for signs of psychic influence, pheromone deployment, or cloaked drones. They found none. The truth was unbearable. The human had approached the apex terror of the galaxy without armor, fear, or weapons, and the monster responded like a domesticated creature meeting its favorite person. Back on Zalcor 12, Lena casually chewed on a protein bar while Buddy, yes, she named him Buddy, rested beside her with half his glowing spine curled protectively around her back. He yawned, his serrated fangs dripping energy vapor, and gently dropped a molten rock near her foot like it was a prize. "Thanks, but I'm good," she said. She had spent the past 3 days documenting his behavior. It was nothing like the violent, mindless killing machine the galaxy had imagined. Buddy was reactive, yes, hyper-aware, but not mindless. He responded to tone, posture, and eye contact. Any movement seen as threatening made him shift into defense mode, spines raised, plasma fields flaring. But when approached without aggression, he displayed curiosity, patience, even protectiveness. Her report, uploaded via a secured satellite link, was clinical and exact. No exaggeration, no poetry, just data. Subject exhibits intelligence, pattern recognition, sensitivity to vocal pitch and emotional tone. Hypersensory feedback loop seems tied to surrounding fear levels. No attacks initiated unless fear or hostility are present. She concluded, the Korthax is not aggressive by nature. It is reactive to intent. The paper was ignored by most military factions and devoured by scientific ones. Debates ignited across galactic think tanks. Theories collapsed under the weight of first-hand evidence. Some refused to believe it. Others tried to dismiss the footage as CGI, human propaganda, or mind control sorcery. But more footage came. Lena laughing as Buddy rolled onto her tent, collapsing it completely. Buddy rumbling in what appeared to be embarrassment. Lena using a long metal pole to play tug-of-war with him near a bubbling sulfur pit. The purring intensified when he won. In orbit, ships began arriving, not war fleets yet, but surveillance probes, recon observers, science delegates. They stayed far back, watching from a safe distance. Earth refused to let any of them land. "Let her work," the ambassador said, "or clean up after yourselves when it goes wrong." Back on the surface, Lena noticed something new. Buddy wasn't just staying with her. He was following her, mimicking her movements, waiting when she paused, circling her tent perimeter when she slept. He growled at any drone that strayed too close and disintegrated 2 probes that dare drop audio sensors near her camp. She didn't reprimand him. Instead, she whispered, "Good boy," and handed him another heat-resistant ration cube, which he devoured in seconds. Buddy didn't sleep like an animal. He lay still, eyes partially open, scanning for threats. But when Lena sat near him, humming old Earth lullabies under her breath, his breathing slowed and his spines dimmed to a warm amber. She began to notice patterns, vocal frequencies that relaxed him, certain scents that made him twitch, objects that provoked no reaction until handled with aggression. He was learning her, too. That afternoon, she taught him to sit by repeating the word while placing her hand gently on his upper forelimb. After 10 tries, he understood. The 11th time, she said nothing, just looked at him. He sat, spines folded neatly along his back. She burst out laughing. Orbiting scientists watching the live stream stared in silence. The Korthax had followed a verbal command. The galaxy reeled. Alien governments met in emergency sessions. The Varnock Republic accused Earth of holding a galactic weapon hostage. The Zentari Dominion demanded Earth share the creature for military research. The Jarlock Assembly pushed for orbital strikes before the beast turns against its tamer. Earth's reply was simple and clear. It's not a weapon, and she's not his tamer. They're friends. But fear makes empires irrational. Soon, anonymous factions began pressuring Council. If the Korthax could be taught obedience, what would stop her from training others? What if humanity, known for surviving environments other species wouldn't dare enter, turned apex monsters into pets? Earth's reputation didn't help. They were known for adaptability, for emotional unpredictability, for charging into hopeless fights and sometimes winning them. Their soldiers didn't shut down when overwhelmed. They got angry. They got creative. They survived. Now, one of them was casually giving belly rubs to a myth. Lena remained unaware of the full-scale diplomatic chaos she'd triggered. She was too busy cataloging Buddy's reactions to various stimuli. A breeze that carried a metallic scent made him growl. A solar flare made his armor shimmer into near transparency. When she showed him a picture of a house cat on her tablet, he stared for 5 seconds, then began purring without prompting. She noted it all. One night, while heat lightning flashed above the horizon, she sat beside him, leaning against the side. His core gave off a gentle warmth that soothed her tired bones. She stared up at the sky. "They think you're a monster," she murmured. "But you're just lonely, aren't you?" He didn't answer, of course. But one massive limb curled gently around her, pulling her closer, and his body pulsed with that deep, rhythmic purr that now felt like home. She smiled. "Yeah, I get it." The message from Earth came through the next morning. Hostile fleet detected. Council-backed, multi-species strike force. Estimated arrival, 2 days. Orders, stay calm, continue observation. Evac available at any time. She didn't flinch. Instead, she looked at Buddy. "Looks like they're coming for you." He tilted his head. She pulled the tennis ball from her bag and tossed it across the cracked basalt field. He bounded after it, tail slicing air, claws scattering ash, and returned, gently placing it in her hand. "No," she said, "they're not ready for you." The Council fleet arrived in formation, 87 warships from 12 different species, led by a Varnock dreadnought. flanked by 2 Cerity energy skimmers and a Zentari command cruiser. They didn't announce their arrival with warnings or demands. They just came, armed to the teeth and broadcasting low-level jamming signals across the planet's upper atmosphere. From the moment they entered orbit, Buddy changed. He rose from his resting position beside Lena with slow, deliberate movements. His body expanded, spines elongating, skin shifting into that phase harmonic shimmer that made light ripple across him like water. His pupils narrowed into slits. The purring stopped. Lena didn't have to ask. She knew. He felt it. They were being hunted. She stood, brushing ash off her sleeves, and tapped her comm. "This is Dr. Lena Hart. Your presence is not authorized. Leave orbit or risk escalation." No response. Instead, 3 scout drones entered atmosphere and zipped toward her camp like wasps. Buddy snarled before she could react and launched a sonic pulse that shattered the midair. The debris never hit the ground. It melted from residual plasma discharge. Up in orbit, the Varnock commander sneered. Target confirmed. Containment protocols authorized. They didn't understand. They saw a weapon, a wild beast, something to neutralize. Lena's voice cut through the comms again. "You're provoking him. I won't be able to stop what happens next." Still no reply. Only mobilization. The first wave came an hour later. 3 unmanned recon walkers dropped just outside Buddy's territory. They moved silently, designed to withstand Class 8 environmental hazards. Buddy didn't hesitate. He vanished in a blur of shadow and heat. When he reappeared, all 3 walkers were crumpled heaps of slag. The fleet sent another wave, this time manned. Lena screamed into her comm, "Don't. He doesn't want to kill you." But they didn't care. They had orders, objectives, fear wrapped in protocol. 2 Varnock shock troopers hit the ground near her position. Before they could raise their rifles, Buddy emerged, not charging, but standing between Lena and them. Massive, glowing, silent. They hesitated. One took a step back. The other, younger and less wise, aimed his weapon. Buddy didn't roar. He pulsed once, and the sheer concussive force launched both troopers backwards. One was unconscious before he hit the rock. The other crawled, dazed, eyes wide with something deeper than fear. Recognition. Lena ran to him. "Stop this. Call them off." He gasped. "That thing didn't kill us." "No," she snapped. "But you're trying to kill him." Up above, the fleet commanders misread everything. The creature is initiating targeted, intelligent strikes. One of them barked. That confirms threat classification. Earth's ambassador tried to stall them. He's not a threat until you make him one. But bureaucracy has no ears for reason. A countdown began. Planetary bombardment protocols activated. Energy cells charged. Lena received the ping on her terminal and felt ice slide down her spine. They were going to burn the planet. To vaporize Buddy like he was a parasite. She turned to him. He was still standing there, unmoving, his bioluminescent spines flickering like a dying signal. "They're going to try and kill you," she said. He didn't growl, didn't bristle. He just looked at her. "Do you understand?" she asked quietly. He lowered his head and touched it to her chest. Just once. And then he moved. Lena screamed for him to stop, but Buddy bolted toward the coordinates of the orbital strike calibration. Not toward the threat. Toward the source. He wasn't running from fear. He was defending her. The sky lit up as the first kinetic rods dropped. 1, 2, 3. All aimed at Buddy's last known location. The ground cracked open. Fire erupted across the ash fields. Shock waves punched through the mountain ridges. They thought he was dead, but the smoke parted, and there he stood, scarred, bleeding light, armor cracked, but alive, and angry. For the first time in its history, the Varnock dreadnought registered a proximity breach from below. No creature should have been able to reach orbit under its own power. But the Korthax wasn't just a creature. He was something else. With a deafening sonic blast that fractured communication arrays, Buddy launched upward, surrounded by plasma rings and gravitational distortion. He didn't need wings. The air itself obeyed him. One by one, the The ships began losing contact. Not destroyed, disabled. Engines stopped. Power cores shut down. Lights flickered and went dark. It was surgical. The dreadnought panicked. Engage self-defense grid. Too late. Buddy appeared outside the command bridge. Claws pulsing. Eyes locked onto the Varnock admiral who had signed the strike order. But he didn't attack. He placed one clawed dig on the glass, stared directly into the admiral's eyes, and vanished. Moments later, all ship's power returned. Buddy didn't destroy them. He showed them he could. Back on the surface, Lena waited. Her knees trembled. Her chest ached with hell breath. A low hum filled the air. He landed beside her, quieter than before. His spines flickered dimly. He looked tired. She didn't say a word, just walked up and hugged him. For the first time, he leaned into her embrace and let out a slow, deep exhale. Not a purr, a sigh. From orbit, the Council ships retreated. They didn't ask for samples. They didn't request interviews. They just left. Later that day, Lena transmitted one line to Earth's embassy. The monster they feared just saved them all. Again. Buddy lay curled beside her tent that night, silent. He hadn't killed anyone, but he had made a decision. The galaxy could push, threaten, invade. But as long as Lena stood on this planet, they would think twice, because now they knew he wasn't a mindless monster. He was a guardian, and he had chosen a human. The storm never came back. The Council's retreat wasn't marked by shame or apology, just silence. The same silence used by empires when they realized they miscalculated something far beyond their comprehension. They left no drones, no treaties, no conditions. Just a quiet withdrawal from orbit, like they'd woken something they couldn't put back to sleep. Lena stayed. So did Buddy. She rebuilt the tent he had squashed during his first week with her. This time he helped, dragging support rods like toys and nudging the fabric in place with careful claws. They had reached an unspoken rhythm, a language of gestures, tone, and shared space. He trusted her completely now, and she no longer saw him as a subject to observe, but as someone. The Korthax, the galaxy's apex threat, had formed a bond, not through domination, containment, or fear, but through patience, presence, and belly rubs. Buddy never wandered far anymore. When Lena hiked to the geothermal ridges to collect samples, he shadowed her silently, scanning the horizon. When she worked late into the night under her field light, he curled around the tent's base, his spines glowing a faint blue. He never slept until she did. The science teams on Earth called it anomalous imprinting. The aliens called it manipulation or madness. But Lena knew the truth. It was loyalty, pure and simple. Weeks passed, and a shuttle finally arrived. Earth's own. No weapons. No armored escort. Just a single craft carrying 2 scientists and a negotiator. They approached slowly, cautious and respectful. They'd seen the footage. Everyone had. Lena met them on the ridge while Buddy stood behind her, silent but clearly visible. Dr. Hart, the negotiator, said, "We're here to propose full protection status for the Korthax, a sanctuary zone. We want to ensure no further attempts are made to." Buddy moved, not aggressively, just one slow step forward, enough to make the negotiator lose his train of thought. Lena raised a hand to reassure both parties. He doesn't want to be caged. Not by Earth. Not by anyone. He's not a specimen. The lead scientist spoke carefully. "We believe you, and we want your help drafting the protocols for coexistence. You've done the impossible." Lena looked at Buddy, who tilted his massive head slightly and blinked slowly at her. She turned back to the team. "Then the first rule is simple. He chooses where he goes, who he trusts. No labs, no chains, no leashes." The negotiator nodded, understanding the gravity. "Then consider this the beginning of a new model. No containment, just respect." And so the sanctuary zone was established, not for study, not for defense, but as a gesture, a line the galaxy would not cross again. Signs were posted in every major language. "Do not approach unless invited. The Guardian walks here." Lena remained his point of contact. She declined promotions, interviews, fame. She stayed because Buddy stayed, and because Earth for all its chaos and politics, finally did the right thing. Diplomats stopped by occasionally. So did xenobiologists. Most stayed on the perimeter, observing from afar. A few, after gaining Lena's trust, were allowed closer. Buddy tolerated them. Never warm, never hostile, but his guard never dropped. Only with her. It became legend. Galactic children whispered stories of the woman who tamed a monster by scratching its belly. Soldiers told tales of the Guardian, who disarmed a fleet without drawing blood. Scientists debated whether the Korthax had always been sentient, or if humans had somehow altered its nature through sheer empathy. But Lena knew better. She didn't change Buddy. She just gave him what no one else ever had. Kindness without expectation. One evening, under a twin sunset that set the obsidian ridges aflame with color, Lena sat beside Buddy on a ledge. He rumbled softly, his version of contentment. She spoke without looking at him. "They're still afraid of you." Buddy didn't react. "And maybe they always will be." Still silent. "But I think you're okay with that." A low pulse ran through the rock beneath her. "Agreement." She smiled. "Good." He lowered his head beside her, letting her rest against his jaw. Down below, new life grew. The ash fields were slowly turning green, thanks to terraforming projects initiated by Earth in partnership with dozens of former rival species. The world that once housed death now fostered renewal. And at the center of it all, Buddy watched. He became more than a threat, more than a curiosity. He was a symbol. Proof that not everything dangerous needed to be destroyed. That some monsters were only monsters because no one had bothered to see the person inside. And sometimes, all it took to reveal that truth was one brave, stubborn human who offered affection instead of fear. In the decades that followed, Lena's reports would become foundational texts in cross-species empathy training. The Heart Doctrine, they called it. Fear escalates. Trust de-escalates. Understanding begins with vulnerability. Buddy never left the planet. He didn't need to, because every time a ship passed the system, the NAV beacon played a simple message, broadcast in 1,000 dialects. Enter with peace in your heart, or turn back. The Guardian does not forgive. No one tested it. Not again. And deep in the canyons of the once feared world, a massive creature dozed under starlight, dreaming of belly rubs and a human who gave him a name.